oh my friend. Say hello to the sorrow. Say hello to the sorrow. And with a sigh and these tears that I cry, oh my friend, oh my friend, oh my friend. Say goodbye for the last time. You must say goodbye for the last time. And with a sigh and these tears that I cry, oh my friend, oh my friend, oh my friend, oh my friend. Say goodbye for the last time.
Your host, and I'd like to introduce our team, my daughter and executive producer, Nicole Fratangelo, my co-host, Ray-Stingray Sneechler, my cousin Ralph Narciso, and who actually are commentators, and Jenn Pro. And our special guest tonight will be a good friend of mine, Eugene Lang, who is a Vietnam Veteran Purple Heart Recipient and has an amazing story to tell. So, Gene, welcome to the show. And first, before we get started, I just want to wish everybody that I hope you had a great 4th of July. It was a beautiful weekend, and I hope everybody was healthy and safe. And let's get on with the show. All right, Gene.
John, thank you for having me. I hope you can hear me all right. As you know, my life story goes back. I was not born in this country. I am a naturalized American citizen. I was born in Hungary right after World War II, and I am second generation of Holocaust survivors. My mother was in a concentration camp. Father was in slave labor. I lived in Hungary until I was 9 years old, when the Russians decided that Hungary should not be an independent country, as you could see what's going on today. And they took away our food, they took away a lot of things. My brother and I became runners. What happened was my uncle had some kind of connection and he was able to get food. So what they would do is they take my backpack, where I had my books, take the books out, put food in there, and put the books back on top of that again. And they said, go to this place, deliver the food. I'm assuming it was food, wasn't anything else. So that's what my brother and I did. But when
How old were you, Gene?
I was 9 years old at the time.
Okay. And your brother was younger?
I'm sorry?
Your brother was older or younger?
Younger. He's
Okay.
8. The event took place in 1956 during the Hungarian and Russian Revolution. So things was decided that things were not going well, considering there was a Russian tank on every street. Guys with, I would not say AK-47s, whatever they carried before that. My parents, well, my father and my stepmother, because my mother passed away when I was 6 years old due to being in a concentration camp. So my father, my stepmother, my brother and I, it was time that we left the country. So what we did, believe it or not, we rented a taxi to get us to the border. Each time you went a mile, a Russian tank would stop you, and the cannon of the tank would come right to the top of the taxi. Guys with the machine guns would point their machine guns inside of you. Keep in mind, you're only 9 years old. Searched the place, we went on. We finally went to a safe house. The safe house, they said, all right, you got to stay during the nighttime, and some people will come and get you. I said, okay. I said, okay, I didn't have much of a choice. So we said, fine. They came once it got dark, and they took us to the back alleys. So one guy would take us so far, and he would stop, he would whistle, somebody else would whistle, and then we will continue with our journey. What happened was, once we got to the border, all right? Now, the Russians were not that generous. They did not put up fences. They put out landmines. This guy knew where the landmines were. So he said, look, go through, straight through there, keep going for about another half an hour, then bear to your left, hit the road, and go straight up, right, and you're gonna be in Austria. So needless to say, that's what we did. We stayed in the woods. We continued. We went to the left, go straight to Austria. Keep in mind, you're 9 years old, and you could hear everything behind you, every footstep. Just as bad as Vietnam, you could hear everything.
Right.
So needless to say, we kept going. We went to the border town, and there was a police officer with the station there, and we asked for political asylum. They said, all right, no problem here. They took us to a school, okay, where all the refugees were put together. Who did we run into? My father's niece, her husband, and her kids. So we all decided that we're going to go to America. So what happened was we were on one side of Austria. We had to get to the other side. They put us on a train, and we went through Austria. We had to, somebody would stop and feed us along the way. And one night we did have to stay with some Austrian people. We were told, whatever you do not say that you're Jewish. Very bad anti-Semitism left over from World War II. Not that it's any better today. So we continued. We went to Salzburg. Believe it or not, I believe that was the 3rd Army barracks. So we were there, and we were told that it would take a year to get to America. But my father said, wait a minute, I have a sister in America. I said, you have a sister in America? I said, yes, I do. 2 weeks later, in the middle of the night, they banged on our door. They said, you're getting on a plane and you're going to America. So we got on a plane, flew to America. We landed in Camp Kilmer, New Jersey. Over there, we got our green card and everything else that you needed to stay in America.
Gene, can I stop you for a minute?
I'm sorry?
Can I stop you for a minute?
Yeah.
Yeah, the plane you got on, was that an American plane?
Commercial flight.
Excuse me?
Yep. Somebody paid for it. Let's put it like this. Okay.
Okay, so you don't think it was an American plane?
on there, okay? We're all Hungarian refugees,
Okay.
we're all going to America. So we landed in Camp Kilmer. We spent the night, and the next day, they put us on a bus and they took us into New York City. Exactly where, I do not remember, but my father's sister was there. Now, they haven't seen each other since 1922, but God, they recognized each other right away. And they said, we're going up to the Bronx. We're getting on the subway. He said, what's a subway? What's the Bronx? But we went up.
You mean to tell me you didn't hear about the Bronx over there? You kidding me or what?
And I have the Pine Avenue in the Bronx. So we went up there, and his sister's married, obviously. The kids were moved out, but her son was still living there. Nicholas was asked to stay with a friend. Did he stay with a friend? And it's fine. We stayed there, her place, 4 of us in one room. And my father said, well, I got to get a job. So what happened was he took his brother-in-law, but we didn't speak a word of English, okay? With his brother-in-law, he went down to the city, so Mayor Robert Wagner. And just so happened at the same time there was this Hungarian there. He was in the import business from, believe it or not, from Hungary. What does he do? He hires my father. They were importing spices from Hungary. I said, all right, so my father has a job. Now, get us to school. We didn't speak a word of English. There were no ESL teachers there. They put us in the back of the room and said, here's a coloring book. Go color. So, yeah, I said, hey, how is this so bad? It said B-L-A-C-K. So you looked at the crayon that said B-L-A-C-K, and you colored until the teacher called out and go, how come you're able to get all your colors straight? I said, oh, I go B-L-A-C-K and whatever. She took all the papers off the crayons. They weren't that straight anymore.
Oh, wow.
But we stayed in the back of the class. My brother was in a different grade. We stayed in the back and gradually picked up a little bit of language. And to this day, I'll never forget, I was going to a party. We were invited to a party. And I said to friends, of course, I barely spoke English. I said, I have to go home and put on a dress. Not I'm going home and get dressed. I'm putting on a dress. Of course, 10 years old now.
Today they wouldn't think nothing of that.
So, needless to say, we went to a party. And gradually, I went to this, elementary school that was PS 75 in the Bronx, right off of Bruckner Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
Went there. I graduated from there, and from there I went to junior high school 123, which was the same thing, but the expressway. And obviously, I was not in one of the faster classes. I was in one of the slower classes. I mean, don't forget, I could do math, 2 plus 2 is 4, but I couldn't do English.
Right.
Gradually, I went through there. I graduated middle school. Middle school, I decided I wanted to learn a trade. So I went to Bronx Vocational High School, learned the electrical trades. And I did that. And fortunately, while I was 16 years old, I had a major issue with my left ear. I was discharging bone from my left ear.
Wow.
Needless to say, I had major surgery. And I wound up with rebuilt left ear, a hole in my skull. So I said, okay. They said, don't worry, you will never be drafted. I believe
Were you able to hear out of that ear?
I still can't hear well with this ear.
Okay. You want me to read my lips?
I read your lips. But needless to say, I graduated high school with my diploma. And at that time, you could go to college provided you had your grades and it didn't cost anything. I went to Bronx Community College at that time, and I was studying electrical engineering. One thing I didn't understand was electrical engineering also included engineering drafting. I was not any good at it. Needless to say, I lost my matriculation. I said, all right, I'm going to get drafted. So my brother said, go get a job with the phone company. So I did. I went downtown and I took the written test and everything else. And they loved the idea that I still had a year and a half of electrical engineering. And the doctors examined me. They said, oh, you'll never be drafted. Okay. Yeah.
Right, okay.
I said, all right, fine. So I started working for the telephone company as a switching equipment technician. And all that time I was working on equipment that was built, believe it or not, in 1922. Imagine how old that was. But just to say, they sent me to school. It was 2 months long. And when I finished school, the draft board, not the draft board, but down in Manhattan, they wanted to see me. They had medical records on me like this. I said, okay, don't worry about it. We'll call you back again. You'll never be drafted. Well, a week later, they called me back again. My medical records were like this.
Oh, convenient you lost some of them, man.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
said, well, don't you want to look at my ear? I said, no, we don't have to look at your ear. I said, "You're fine." I said, what? I said, all right. When you get to basic training, complain about your ear, because each time I discharged an M14, my ear was killing me.
Right.
I did. I went through basic training. I met a guy there. He was drafted from Virginia. He was born with this deformed leg. I said, what are you doing here? You got 2 crutches. He said, that was the last one, nobody else, so we sent you. I said, okay. I mean, 3 weeks later, he was gone.
You got out.
Yeah. So needless to say, I
I got a question.
Yes.
Yeah, did your brother wind up getting drafted or just yourself?
My brother enlisted. Okay, my brother served 2.5 years in Germany, clerical. So that's what he did. But I went through basic training, and then from there I went to AIT in Fort Dix. Fort Dix, I was trained on the 81 millimeter mortar, and Colt 45, machine guns, and all of that. M79. I said, okay, so I finished that. I figured, well, I'm in Fort Dix. I'm not going to Vietnam. Fort Dix, they send you to Korea or they send you to Germany. Buddy and I that I met over there in Fort Dix, the 2 of us are sent to Germany. Okay? We haven't paid, okay? Well, what comes along? Head of 1968. Guess where we're heading? And we're infantry. Both of us and the other people in Germany got their orders. They said, you guys are going to Vietnam. I said, okay. I went home, said hello to my folks, said goodbye to my folks, and I flew to Seattle, Washington.
Gene, what were you feeling at that moment knowing that you were going to Vietnam?
I was not a happy camper. I mean, I would have served my country, but it destroyed my ear completely.
Right. You know what I don't understand? I think that they for some reason, it was very negligent of them, being that they knew you had a record of your ear before they conveniently lost them, okay? By putting you in the military with that bad ear, you could have got out on a medical and get paid for the rest of your life. And I'm surprised they took a chance of doing that.
No, I didn't do that.
Even the guy with the club foot, I'm surprised.
Well, he was only there 3 weeks and he was gone. So they sent him home.
So go ahead.
We went to Seattle, Washington. I have never seen an M16 before in my life. So I was trained on an M16. They took us out on the field. They gave us 2 magazines. Said, all right, fire one semi-automatic. Okay. Fire the second one fully automatic. Okay, we did that. All right, you're trained.
Yeah, that's it.
March 30th, 1968, I'm on a plane going to Vietnam. Okay, all right. So it was a long flight, but we get to Vietnam. We ended in Cam Ranh Bay. So from there, we get our issues where we're going to go. So I wound up with the 1st Air Cavalry Unit, 1st Air Cavalry Division.
Hmm.
And I had to go up to on K because I had to learn how to repel out of a helicopter. 1st Air Cav was
Right.
helicopters. I learned how to do that. And at that time, there was an operation going on, Operation Pegasus. Pegasus, we were going up to help out the Marines at Quai Sam.
Hey, Regine, let me interrupt you for 1 second. Keep your train of thought. When I first went to Nam, all right, we were sent to Jungle Devil School, a week of jungle training. You didn't have to do that or anything like that? Your outfit didn't do that? So you just went straight to the field, off the plane,
Right.
from here, right?
Yeah.
No jungle training at all. That doesn't make sense. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, but that's the way it happened.
Yeah.
I was sent from Monkey up north, and we were helping out the Marines. And to this day, I never forget. I mean, we were in the outskirts of Quai Sam. We didn't go in. The 7th Cavalry did, but the 5th Cavalry did not. And over there, we would be attacked during the nighttime and everything else. And to this day, I never forget. I claimed that there were Chinese there. I don't care what anybody says, but they left their dead behind that night.
Mhm.
And the other guys, they were dressed as North Vietnamese. These two were not. They didn't look anything like them or anything like that. They left them behind, I guess. And there was one other guy they left behind. What happened was we shot him through the buttocks. Okay? He spoke better English than I did. He spoke better English.
The 4-letter word in English or what?
Gene,
That hurts.
Gene, how did you feel? Now you're in Vietnam. Now you have to use a weapon. How old were you there?
21.
21. And so that was at the first time that you actually shot somebody.
That's correct.
And so, what went through your mind in the battlefield at that point?
You have to accept the fact that it wasn't me that was killed. And I moved on. I just moved on.
And for how long? Like, did it bother you?
Yeah.
What did you feel?
I have issues today. I have PTSD. I
You
have
do
issues.
have PTSD,
Yeah, I mean, you gotta understand, I spent a year in combat. I spent a
right?
year. And from that area, what we did was we went into this place, it was a fire base, and it was called LZ Snapper. We were closer to the Laotian border than Quai Sam was. So the first time, they must have had an FO, what an FO is, a forward observer.
Observer, yeah.
And they were firing at us, and they couldn't even hit the base. I said, oh, these guys can't hit anything. Well, after the first day, when you're taking in 100+ rounds, they're going to go artillery rounds, they hit everything. So what happened was, since I was a new guy, they told me, you're going to stay downstairs with the 11 Bravos, help them out. We each had a basket,
That's
they're
infantry.
going to come, and we each had a box of hand grenades. So there was 4 of us in the bunker. We had 4,000 rounds and 4 cases of hand grenades. Well, they decided at that point that I should move up to the top of the hill. And the reason for that was because we're going to set up a second 81mm mortar. But all right, but you had to crawl up to the top of the hill. You would walk. Each time you stood up, incoming rounds, 3 of them, 4 of them. So I went up, walked up the hill. I passed bunkers that were blown up. To get to the top of the hill.
Was it raining, Gene?
I'm sorry?
Was it raining?
No. Raining.
Okay.
It was raining incoming rounds.
No, all right.
It was raining.
Gene, how many soldiers were you with at that point of going up the hill?
Okay, okay, that point, it was one line company, plane that was loaned from another company just in case we needed them. So there was 90 guys per platoon, line platoon, and they also had your mortar platoon, and I think there was like 25 of us. And I said, all right, so I make it up to the top of the hill, and what comes raining in? Incoming rounds. Dummy me, I hit the ground and I start falling.
Now you're talking about small arms fire or mortar?
It was artillery and mortars.
Okay.
Keep in mind, that could hit the Ho Chi Minh Trail. I was that close to the Ho Chi Minh Trail.
Mhm.
So from there, I hit the ground and I felt something hit me. I said, all right. So I started crawling to a hole and I said to my buddy, oh, before that, this dog attacks me.
What? One of our own? One of our own dogs?
Our own dog belonged to the other company.
Oh, no.
The dog attacks me. And
You must have had one of those. You must have had one of those Viet Cong blood on you. They must have sniffed their blood because they used to go crazy.
I'm screaming at the dog.
I heard you had a turkey drumstick in your pocket. That's why the dog went for you.
Probably. It smelled good. So anyhow, I went to my buddy and I said, I think I'm hit. So he started yelling for the medic. And you could see the hole in the bottom of my pants, but there was no blood there. The hole was by my knee. The shrapnel traveled up from the bottom of my leg and it landed hit just below the knee and it hit the bone.
Mm.
Medic comes, patches me up. He said, I got to carry you down the hill. I said, I don't want you carrying me. No, I got to carry you down the hill. Oh, what comes after me? I'm hanging off his back like that. The dog comes after me. Now, yeah,
The same dog again, second
Thank
time?
dog.
yeah, so they took my rifle
So-
away.
So, Gene, at that point, you lost your leg?
No, I was hit in the leg.
Okay, hitting the leg, but I mean, were you bleeding? You know, for people, were you bleeding a lot?
Just a little bit. And what had happened was when it hit the leg, it hit the bone.
Oh my God.
The bone, it would have penetrated my leg. So I said, all right. He carries me down the hill. The dog is chasing me.
Can't get that one.
I said to him, give me a 45. I'm going to end this. But by this time,
Wow.
I think it was funny, so they called the dog off.
Right.
Took me to the bottom of the hill. And they said, all right, when we get a helicopter, we're going to put you on a helicopter. I said, okay. So they flew me to Dong Ha, which is a Marine base. And I found the doctor, and the doctor goes to me, how well could you take pain? About digging inside my leg. And I said, huh. So he takes the shrapnel out, and he walks away. I said, excuse me, but I got a hole like this in my leg. Oh, somebody better wrap some gauze around them.
Wow.
Okay. So at that point, I was returned to the company. And from there, we went on above Dong Ha on the DMZ. Not a very pleasant area, okay? Because that's where the North Vietnamese were coming through. Now, meanwhile, I'm oozing. I'm not well, but I'm still on the field. I'm still carrying 3 rounds for the 81, which backwood, which was 40 pounds alone. Black jacket, M16, 500 rounds of ammo, 3 hand grenades, food, water, you name it, I had it on me. All right.
Gene, for people that are not in the military, how heavy were you probably back then?
I'm sorry.
For the
How much
people that are non-military that are listening, about how heavy were you back then? What type of frame of body did you have?
If I weighed 120 pounds, that was a lot. and you're
Okay,
carrying
so
on your back.
right, so like give the people a detail of how heavy you would estimate the between the rifle, helmet and everything that you were carrying in weight. On top of that bad leg.
Okay, was 80 plus pounds.
Wow.
So you carried that. From there, we finally left and we went and hit the rice paddies. Meanwhile, we're walking to the swamp and everything else. You got an open wound. No antibiotics, no stitches, nothing.
Yeah, that don't sound right.
Till close to 2 months. I'm
Wow.
saying. So from there, we stayed in the general area, in the rice paddies in the Quantry province. Okay. And from there, we went up to the mountains on the Laotian border. Now, the North Vietnamese had bunker complexes over there. Okay. And we were up there, and that's what we were looking for. The bunker, and we did find them. And there was a few firefights, and wasn't very pleasant. Plus, also you had the rainy season up there too, so you'd be soaking wet and everything else. But we haven't even gotten to the monsoons yet. We're still up in the mountains. So after a while, we leave the mountains, back in the rice paddies again. What comes along is the monsoon season. Now, keep in mind, over there, I always carried a poncho, never wore a poncho for the year I was there. But when the monsoon season came, I carried 2 ponchos. So with 6 ponchos, you could get 3 guys under there and an air mattress. Each of them, each of you had an air mattress.
What would you say the temperature was with the rain? Was it cold? Was it warm?
It was, you were sweating. I mean, they gave us, I don't know if you ever seen it where people work in construction, they have this belt, the jacket and the pants.
Mhm.
They gave us that. And you were sweating just as much.
Yeah, Gene, I'm getting this whole feeling. You were there. You're saying it was 1968. I'm getting this whole feeling that it seems like by 1968, because I also comparing this to John's account in his book, The Last Goodbye, how it seems like the fighting man in 1968 in Vietnam was basically dispensable. Where you're wounded, you have an open wound, you're sent back into combat. You have no antibiotics, no care, no good bandage. You're in swampy areas with an open wound. I mean, is that the way you felt?
I felt miserable. I felt horrible.
But did you feel like your superiors were kind of saying, hey, the hell with him, he's just another body. Send him back there, we need bodies.
Ralphie, in '68, and Gene could attest to this, the Tet Offensive was that the whole North Vietnamese and armies were attacking many cities at the same time.
Right.
So every man was needed everywhere, no matter what. So if you could somehow walk or crawl, they're going to put you back on that field.
The walking wounded.
Right.
But in all actuality, though, if someone's wounded, they're not at their full capacity. So is that not dangerous to not just that person, but to the people that they're trying to help and keep watch on? Like, that just seems like a very bad combination.
Right.
I can tell you another story that happened later on the Cambodian border. I mean, now I'm jumping, okay? This guy, we're going toward Cambodia. I wasn't in Cambodia, okay? In the jungle, a hand grenade goes off in the bush, penetrates his helmet. We had to call him a helicopter with a jungle penetrator, pull him up, take him away. The next day, he's back.
Wow.
What are you doing back here? They said to me, it's all in my mind. There's nothing wrong with you. I watched the medic. I mean, I, with my own two eyes, watched the medic clean his head and remove 20 pieces of shrapnel from his skull.
Wow.
A lot of us don't talk about this. We try and I should not be getting into this too much, but yeah,
Yeah, you should.
they said it's all in your mind.
Wow.
But anyhow, before we went down to Cambodia, I'm going back up to Country Province up north. We spent all the time up there, the monsoon season and everything else. Not a pleasant situation. We're glad when the monsoon season was over. And because every once in a while they would send us food on our giant, remember those big trays?
Yeah.
And it was, well, when pouring rain and the rain goes in.
Two plates, two paper plates, one on the top, one on the bottom. Yep.
Right. So
Pete, I'm sorry. Pizza, on an average day, how much does it rain there for people that don't know?
all day, rained all day.
Yeah.
All
Well,
day?
yeah. Well, especially when the monsoons hit on. But prior to the monsoons, when the monsoons would start, coming, okay, it would rain. I would say 5-6 times a day. It would stop.
Sometimes not.
So to put
Huh?
just to put that in perspective, you got to remember. I'm just thinking the amount of water. So now you're talking about tons of mud,
Yeah.
flooded areas that you got to go through.
Oh yeah. People don't realize it. If you stood in I explain this in the book. If you stood in an open field in an area where you can see around the horizon, like, okay, and you can look into the sky all around you, you can see a curtain coming down, all right? Then it will be clear. Then you see another curtain coming down, be clear, another curtain coming down, and it's the rain. It's the rain, but it's like intervals, and it's coming. It's coming right at you, and you're gonna in another few minutes you're gonna be drenched.
Right in your face.
Right, but what I'm thinking now is probably a lot of the soldiers, especially the wounded, probably drowned because of the amount of water. I mean, that's very sad.
A friend of mine, Joe Majet, who I grew up with, went to school with, drowned in Vietnam.
And what would it be like a lake of water or knee deep water, like just to give people an idea?
Your neck. Okay.
Wow.
I went under once. We were crossing. We had to put a rope across. The
Oh, I
point
did.
man put a rope. And so I had the machine gun. So I had my ammo bearer, and actually you got two ammo bearers. So I had them, one in front of me, one behind me, and I'm going across, and I'm holding my gun up over my head because we're chest deep, almost almost my chest, and I slipped, and I went under, and all I see was my, huh?
But see, pizza, like for people who don't know anything about guns or rifles, is if that rifle gets wet, you can't shoot.
Yes, you
Well,
can.
it's a possibility, but it's a possibility it's going to jam on you if it gets dirt in it and stuff like that. But you're thinking about your gun because that's your best friend. So I'm holding it up, and then one of my buddies grabbed the gun, and then the other two guys grabbed me because I went under. I was under, So they grabbed me to pull me up out of the water, But evidently, my friend, I don't know what really happened to my friend Joe, but I know he drowned. It's on his
Oh my God.
Yep.
That's like my biggest fear is drowning or burning to death. Those are two ways I definitely don't want to die.
Thanks, man.
I mean, I never forget monsoon season. Okay. By this time, I was a gunner on an 81, so I carried a 45, hand grenades, and whatever. We had to cross the stream up to here, so you don't want your 45 hanging off your hip. So I held it up over my head. Just before I get to the other side, I fall. The barrel of the gun goes right into the body. That's a useless weapon.
Yep.
It's funny now, but it wasn't funny then.
Well, I tell you what, my 45 wasn't worth the crap. because it was rusty. He couldn't even cock it. You know.
I kept. I mean, you had your M60.
Yeah, that was my baby.
I did my
That's
45.
yeah.
But how do you guys keep the gun clean when you're going through like these swamps and different things? Like,
To wait until
Yeah,
you,
with all the humidity, you would think it would get really gooked up.
you had to wait until
Well,
you get out this one.
Yeah, you wipe. You get time to clean your gun. There's times, you know. It's not like you're battling a bullets every 24/7. You know, you have time.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of times you're out in the boonies and you're camp. You're in camp, okay? Then you go on patrols. So you got your base camp, which is basically pretty secure. So you got time right there because you don't do all at the same time. The one guy will clean his gun, the other guy watch. You know, but you do make time. It's just because it's important to keep your guns clean and you're out.
right.
Mhm.
And I was just thinking, what about like the grenades? You guys said that you guys carried grenades. What was the possibility of a grenade going off, the pin coming out, or something?
Okay. I folded the pins on my grenade. Okay. So when you're in the jungle, okay, they could be pulling on you, and hopefully it will not blood out.
Right.
But there's always the word but. Okay. There was this Korean War gentleman. He was told, flatten your pins. Did he flatten his pins? No. 4 grenades went off on him.
Sure. Wow.
Took volunteers to pick him up. I mean,
Yeah.
you flatten your pins.
Right. What I used to do is, we carried smoke grenades too,
Yeah.
which had a pin too, right? But I used to carry my grenades in a pouch, covered up, because that bush is really thick. It's such a hazard that it used to actually take my bipods and kept on pulling them out till I got so frustrated with it that I took my bipods off. So I just had the muzzle, no bipods. You know what I mean? Because they kept on getting caught, and it's very easy for a grenade pin to get stuck on a bush, and a lot of times the bush it'll snap back on you. That's another hazard. That's why you don't stay too close to the guy in front of you. You get your eye poked out with a branch snapping back on you. But it's so thick in them jungles, anything can happen.
It's so bad. I mean, sometimes you couldn't even get water. Okay. I never forget going to a rice pad, take my canteen out, push the water buffalo aside, manure, okay, aside, take my filthy shirt, filter the water through that filthy shirt, and then put an iodine pill in it and drink it.
Yeah.
If it's over 100 degrees, 100% humidity, you drink it.
You're thirsty.
You've already run out of water.
I had to do that once. Me and my ammo bearer. We really, something. We really didn't have to do it because they flew water out to us, But we ran out of water. We were on a patrol, so we ran out of water. We were crossing this creek, like Gene just said. Right? So I said, let's fill up our canteens with this, and we put the iodine pills in it. But I tell you what, it didn't taste too good, So we didn't indulge too much of that water. I tell you right now, it didn't taste good at all.
When we got a chance to wash, if we were lucky enough to be by a river, strip down, and make sure there was a guy standing next to you with a lit cigarette to get the reach off of you.
Right.
And dry yourself off with the same filthy towel that you hung around your neck, and you put on the same filthy clothes.
Oh, that's right. Listen, yeah. People got to understand this. Just think about this.
Yeah.
We're out there day after day, night after night, week after week sometimes, all right? No shower, walking through the mud, lying in the mud, going through these crazy creeks and getting dirt all over you, and you don't shower for days. If you're lucky, if it rains, then you go out in the open and you get to wash off a little bit, or like you said, on a stream, you know what I mean? But just think about how did we do that? When you think about it, right? How did we do that, man? How did we get out of there alive?
I had a chance to shower. I never
What?
did.
What, Gene?
I had a chance to shower.
No.
March of 1968 to February of 1969, when I went to Hong Kong for 3 days and I sat in a bathtub and the water turned black.
Wow, of course.
Stood up, I ran the shower and black water was just dripping off.
It's amazing.
So in that famous scene on Forrest Gump, where when Forrest Gump first gets in Vietnam and he gets to Lieutenant Dan, and Lieutenant Dan says, "So the most important thing is to keep your feet dry," right?
Right.
Is that real? And that can you do that?
Well, Gene, you want to answer that? Or you want me to go?
No. I mean, I know so many people that had jungle rot.
Right. What I used to do.
What is jungle rot exactly?
Oh, your feet
If you look at the bottom of your foot, it's like
shriveled up. It looks like a.
But it looks horrible.
Yeah, and your ankles swell up, your feet swell up. What I used to do, I always wore 2 pairs of socks. Now, them jungle boots they gave us were pretty good. They would dry out pretty quick.
You didn't have that
Right.
option.
Huh? Oh, you didn't have them? So I always wear, even to this day, I wear 2 pairs of socks because it's comfortable. And as long as I put the first pair on my foot that was, was fairly decent dry, then I put the other. You try to dry because the sun gets really hot. They can dry out pretty quick, But as long as you got to keep after it. Like my friend Woody, he had such a bad case of jungle rot. I mean, he was incapacitated for a couple of months, man. He had it bad, He looked like he had his elephant feet. Why, Gene?
Yeah, it looked so bad, swollen and everything else. And they stayed in the field. They weren't allowed to go back.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Well, Woody stayed back. He really had it bad. He had to walk around with sandals.
That's what a lot of people, and I'm hoping that the audience is listening to the show can understand that, a lot of people will say, okay, the Vietnam veteran or any veteran who was in a war combat zone has to go through being shot at and all this stuff, but they don't understand all the little things like you just explained. Your feet, the dirt, the same clothes day after day, never taking a shower, not having good clean water, all the little luxuries that we people, take for granted that the soldier in the field has to do without.
Yeah.
And food, like just everyday food that we take for granted.
We called it sea rations over there. And if you were lucky enough to get a little C4, right, John?
Yeah.
C4.
C4 was better than the pellets they gave you. Yeah.
You get the sea rations with that.
Yeah, C4 burned hotter than the pellets that the Army issued you to burn, heat your food up. But the C4, if you just got to remember not to step on it to put it out. You'll blow your foot off.
But yeah, I used that. And then I never forget in the monsoon season when they, you said you had the paper plates. When they gave you the bread, okay, you had to take the bread and squeeze it like this, get the water out of it.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's amazing. But Ralphie, you get so used to it, it doesn't bother you anymore. It doesn't, even if there's bugs in it, dirt.
Right.
It doesn't bother
Right.
you anymore.
You become less than the person you were when you got
exactly. You learn
there. And that's the tragic part of it. And you explain it so well in your book. You get that feeling from that. That's what you had to put up with, and you just did it. You had to do it.
It's life. It's life.
Gene, at that point, right? If you could have anything to eat or any wish, what would have been at that point of going through this?
You know what I dreamed about all that time? Having a corned beef sandwich this thick with potato salad on it and cold beer. I came home.
Gene, can you take us through your last days there and you're going home?
I had to stay in the field until you had 7 days left in country.
Really?
Okay. And how was it when you actually were able to leave? How'd you feel?
I felt great, but it was so bad before that. It was what the North Vietnamese did is they sent out patrols, like 10-man patrols, and you hit, you eliminate them. Well, guess what's behind them? 200 more.
Wow.
I'm on you. It was bad. As a matter of fact, like I said, you had to be in the field until you had 7 days left in country. I had 9 days left in country. One of my platoons got ambushed. 25 out of 30 guys are wounded. Some are pretty bad. Some are okay. Okay. Get a bullet go through your hair. Not okay. But needless to say, they captured the medic. And they also captured the M16 machine gun. And they set him up against a tree and they shot him with the M16. The
Nice.
following day, we move out, minus one line platoon, so it's 2 line platoon, mortar platoon. We move out, and there's a big village on a map. Well, about 500 meters from the village, it's a small village. Guess what's in there? Rice. They had a pig tied up outside. These were all for the North Vietnamese.
Mhm.
Us. So what we did was we burned down that village. It wasn't on the map, burned it down. But now here's the big village, all right? Is a company of South Vietnamese troops in there. Never attacked, never touched, defeating the North Vietnamese.
Yeah.
So what we did was we walked through the village. Guess what? The captain was relieved of command because they felt it was a slap in the face to the South Vietnamese. And to get that, and I think a day or two later, I was sent back. It was time.
Wait. You lost me. Wait, when you walked through the village, there was a company of South Vietnamese,
Size South Vietnamese troops.
right? And
They had never made contact with anybody, never had an issue, nothing. Because they made sure the outside of the village, like it was 500 meters, there was
Right.
plenty of rice. I mean, we found 100-pound bags of rice. We even found a pig tied up outside.
all right, so you're saying they never let you guys know about what was in that village? Is that what you're saying? And so did your officer order you to eliminate them?
We eliminated, outside of the village, the big village, we burned down the hoochers.
Right.
In the village itself, the big one, we walked through there. We did
Right.
not make any contact with them, but the commanding officer, the captain, was relieved of command because they felt it was a slap in the face to the South Vietnamese that we did not trust them.
What made them think you didn't trust them? Just by walking through the village? I don't understand.
Yet he was relieved of command because we walked through the village. It was a slap in the face.
Because you didn't stop and talk to them and like share information and stuff like that. You just ignored them.
I mean,
Right.
I've had issues with South Vietnamese.
Same with me, Gene. I agree with you because my experience with the ovens, the South Vietnamese army, right? They were where the Viet Cong weren't.
Right.
And if we were walking towards the VC, they were walking away from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I never really got too much respect for them, to tell you the truth.
To them, the South Vietnamese. I mean, I remember one time going out with the South Vietnamese patrol. This is way before, okay? And they had 4 Green Berets with them. But as we made contact, they threw their rifles on the ground and they're laying on the ground. The Green Berets went, kicked them in the rear end, get up and fight. They didn't fight. We did all the fight. That's
Exactly.
set up. And as you set up in the circle, okay? You always set up in the circle.
Right.
We're told, keep an eye on your stuff. Next morning, because they had half the perimeter and we had the other half.
Okay.
Next morning, I'm looking for my camera and for my radio, gone.
Really?
So I went to the Green Berets, and I wasn't the only one, the other guys too. Went to the Green Berets, they grabbed the South Vietnamese, I got my radio and my camera back, and they beat the living crap out of them.
Really? Yeah. I'm telling you, it was something else, man. Something else, that place.
I mean, you gotta understand what I'm going through is I'm going through a lot. I'm skipping a lot.
Yeah.
But I was up north, and eventually I was down south by the Cambodian border. You know, Fukuoka, you were there.
Yeah.
I was around there.
Gene, what do you think the aftermath of what happened? Tell the people like what you go through daily from your injuries, you know, your PSD, you know, anything, you know, that you'd like to tell the people for the aftermath of when you came home, you know.
See, when I came home, all right, people would spit on you. The captain that I had, okay, he came home way before I did. 5 girls attacked him. He fought back. He broke one of his jaws. The police obviously was called. The police took him to the airport, stayed with them for their protection. I went home, okay? I went to see some of my friends. They didn't serve. I was the only guy who wasn't born in this country that went to war. They didn't serve. And I went in, one of the guys got married while I was gone, and his wife would leave the room. And I said, why did she leave the room? He said, well, you're a baby killer.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that took care of that friend. No more.
Right.
Another friend, he served 4 years in the Air Force in Spain. Okay, you know, no problem. He served his time. His wife told me, you are not to say anything about Vietnam. I said, all right, no problem there. And other friends just disappeared, so I'm assuming they went to Canada. So I don't know what happened. Another friend enlisted in the Navy to become a medic. He didn't realize the Navy provided the medics for the Marines.
Marines, right. Yeah.
Like an officer, broke his jaw, dishonorable discharge. I said, I don't need this. What happened was 1971, all right? Now I'm jumping from 69 to 71. Okay? I met these 2 girls that lived across the hall from me. And I spoke to them a little bit. And they said, Gene, how would you like to go up to Mount Snow and ski? And nobody would know that you were a veteran. Okay? I said, all right. I went up there. Nobody knew I was a Vietnam, not even a veteran, a Vietnam veteran. They didn't know any of that. Okay? So I got along with everybody. Some people felt that I was acting a little different than they were. Because if I went into someplace, I always had to see what was around me. I always had to see what was around me. I had to know. Okay? And we were friends. And then 22 years later, because I never got my Purple Heart, I decided to fight for my Purple Heart. It's 22 years later.
I was just going to ask you.
Yeah. I went to a lot of Congress people. They didn't help me. They did nothing. But one day I helped out a World War II veteran, and he went to church that Sunday. And I don't know if I'm allowed to mention his last name, the General Singer. He heard of me. And he said, what guy would be fighting 22 years for a Purple Heart? I want to meet this guy. So I did, and he helped me pro bono, and we weren't making any progress. Then he got the Journal News involved. All of a sudden, I'm on the front page of the Journal News. The friends that I had said, what do you mean you're fighting for a Purple Heart? You weren't a veteran. I said, I hate to tell you this, but yes, I was. And with him, we worked 2 years together on this, okay? Yes, 22, but it took 24 years for me to get the Purple Heart from the time I started, 44 years after I was wounded in combat.
Right.
He went to Chuck Schumer,
Right.
right? He said, I got a guy here. General Singer was an attorney. He got eyewitnesses. I gave him the names. And we had 36 pages of documentation that was given to the Journal News fellow who went to Schumer's staff. Said, what could you do with this guy? When they finished, it was 100 pages of documentation. They found everything about me. You know, the time that I went on sick call because of my ears, it showed I went on sick call once.
Wow.
They found out everything about me. So one day I got a phone call from the girl. She used to call me late, sometimes late at 11 o'clock at night. My wife would say, don't you have a wife? No, we're going to get him something. They found documentation. One day he calls me, says, what are you doing on this day? And the Schumer's coming to your house. I said, well, I guess I got the Purple Heart.
Right.
4 years. That was August of 2012. Schumer came to my house and he presented me with the Purple Heart.
Good.
Yeah.
Long time waiting, boy. That's
Yeah, a long time.
CBS
So-
News,
In
all the other
John,
news.
pizza. To me, it seems very political for these type of medals.
That's critical.
it shouldn't be though.
No.
I got
No.
mine. I got mine. I think the second or third day I was in the hospital in Vietnam. I don't understand that at all. I just don't.
Yeah, That's why I was trying to make that connection before, that I think from the time you served, John, to the time that Gene served, there's a whole downgrading of treatment of the American soldier in Vietnam. Partially, in my opinion, the war wasn't going well, only because the politicians were running it, in my opinion. And number two, there was so much civil unrest in this country, and people who were protesting and wanted us out and calling our soldiers baby killers and stuff like that, and all the bad press, of course, jumping on that bandwagon, that I could see just from Gene's story and your story that there's a difference there.
Right.
There's a difference. Gene at Gene's time, it seems like they were getting treated more, horribly. And I want to ask Gene, do you to this day hold any animosity towards the way you were treated, or feel that you were treated in that way?
Yes. Yes.
We do.
That we weren't treated right. I felt other veterans were not treated right. Like I said to you, guy with the 20 pieces of shrapnel on his head.
Right. That's unbelievable.
So I'm not getting into everything, okay? But there's a lot more involved in this.
Mhm.
But we weren't treated right. I mean, I never forget one time. Now again, I'm stepping back, all right? Back in the mountains. But once I take my boots off, the jungle rock, take my socks off. What do? We make contact. I jump in the gun pit, demand the 81. I misstep. I went like this. All right, fighting's over, everything else. My ankle is like this.
Oh.
And it goes to me. Here's the deal. If you go back to the rear, you could be court-martialed. But they're going to say that you, yes, but they're going to claim that you purposely injured yourself. You know what I did? We John Wayne did. Took my boots, put them on, made it as tight as possible.
Tight. Right.
Went down the hill, went up the next hill. Felt good when you hit running water, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things. I knew a guy, this dummy, laid down by a river, laid on his air mattress. The dummy got burnt. The word was put out. You're not ready to move tomorrow. You're being court-martialed.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, a real shame.
and also same
It's like-
thing.
You're fighting two battles. It's
Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's
You fight-
awful.
Gene, if you could change time and compare like what's going on now and what was during your era, what would you change now you know, as of what's going on out there towards the soldiers, men and women.
I think things have changed a great deal since
Yeah.
John and I served. I mean, John, they didn't ask if you want to be vaccinated. You got online and you got vaccinated.
Yeah, on both sides at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, they used the guns on us and you were vaccinated. Things have changed. I believe a lot of
Well, they were giving us
things are
they were,
different.
they were giving us blood thinners and for all diseases that we might catch and all that kind of stuff. Stuff that we never even heard of. You know what I mean?
But I served my time proudly.
Right, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is do you guys think that the actual soldier today is more safe or more covered, and what do you need to do to make it safer for the soldiers?
We fought a different type of war. I flew in helicopters. These guys drive in armored cars. But they also walk on the ground too. They wear body armor. I wore a flak jacket in Quezon. Next time I wore a flak jacket was February of 1969. We didn't wear it. First of all, it will not stop an AK-47 round.
We don't stop nothing.
Yeah, lucky it might stop the shrapnel. So things are different. It's a different war, just like
Yeah.
World War II guys fought a different war. Korean War guys fought a different war. I fought a different war. And the guys that are fighting today are fighting a different type of war.
I mean, all combat is horrible and it's tough.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there are certain conditions. To me, I don't care what anybody says. The jungle fighting to me was the worst. It's got too many negatives into it.
Right.
You don't know where your enemy is. I mean, like I said on the show a couple of times, that the guys in Afghanistan, all right, they're urban warfare, so they can see the buildings, they can see the mountains, and they know the enemy's there, and we didn't know where our enemy was, under us, over us, around us.
The way I carried my M16, the way they carry it now is down like this, and I carried was on my hip.
Yeah, exactly. I don't understand how they carry the guns like that. I know that always.
That's their training.
And
Yeah, I know. I don't know if it's for safety reasons.
Yeah, because they don't want them to shoot accidentally friendly fire, or
Right.
or
That's the only
some
reason I can
civilian.
think of.
Yeah, but in the jungle, what friendly fire are you going to get?
Yeah.
So my biggest thing, I'll never forget to this day. All right, I'll never forget the worst sound you will ever hear. When you squeeze the trigger, and you forgot to put a round in the chamber in the hammer. That's the worst sound you'll ever hear.
Click. All you hear is click. Yeah.
Well,
I want
I forgot the chamber.
I was
Yeah, right.
I was just thinking, I'm sitting in my room here talking to you guys, and listening to the stories and that's something that you don't forget, and that, you guys fought and gave all, to make this country a better place to live, and it saddens me to see what's going on around us,
That's what
especially now.
I want to get back to what you said, Ray. Okay, about the safety of the soldier in the present time. Okay, it all depends on your government. Okay, how they're backing you. All right, just like in Vietnam, if we had some morons running the show. Okay, from Washington. Okay, these soldiers, they were. I'm gonna say his name. Trump. When Trump was in, the soldiers knew he had their backs. This guy is degrading the military. It's just, I'm going to give you a perfect example. My son was just retired from 30 years in the Air Force, so he still has friends in the Air Force. They call him, they say, John, we're getting out. We can't take this anymore. He said, this is ridiculous. They're all getting out as soon as they can. And they've been in there 10, 15 years. He said, this is no damn good. He said, we can't believe what's going on, what they're doing to our military.
It's
I'm
not
telling you,
just
man.
yeah, and it's not just the military, John. It's police too. The resignations in New York City and the early retirements are through the roof. You know, they can't rehire and get a friend of mine who just completed the police academy. I mean, they practically pushed him through the police academy in New York City to get him out on the street because they don't have enough. And
No,
that's
I know.
and that's like you said,
You can't blame them.
yeah, well, it's due to the people in government, and the people in government are just walking lockstep with what you see in these protests, and you see these people on the left. They are walking lockstep with them. They're pushing their agenda, and police are ineffective. You can see it just driving around the street in your own hometown. You see people who, I mean, I barely see people getting pulled over for anything anymore. They tell,
I know.
this person I'm talking about in NYPD, they told him when he became a cop and went out on the street, say, look, you don't go pulling people over for a broken tail light, license plate out, stuff like that. None of these things, don't even do it.
That's just it. The police are frustrated. Philadelphia is a prime example. The police are absolutely frustrated that they can't do their jobs and they can't do, and when they do, there's no prosecution. Look at Krasner. He's destroying Philadelphia. People get arrested. The police are doing their jobs. And then Krasner, the DA, lets everybody out with a slap on the wrist.
Right.
The police are absolutely helpless to do their own jobs. It's horrific.
It's being liberal. The definition of liberal is being allowed to do anything you want, just about, with no consequences.
I just wanted to say that's what the major problem is that when you don't have a president that has any military knowledge and keep on defunding, you know, not only, you know, we're more vulnerable, you know, as a country, as a nation, you know, of anything. Where when Trump was in there, you know, or any other president that was Republican, not that I'm playing sides of politics, but, you know, the thing is that this guy's a clown. And they know he's a clown, and that's the biggest problem. You know,
but they want us to be vulnerable. This administration wants us to be vulnerable.
Yeah. Well, anyway, you know, I don't want to get too far into that because it's getting late. But what I want to say to the people out there about Gene, Gene, you did so much for the veterans. Okay, how many towns have you gotten to become Purple Heart towns?
I'm sorry.
How many towns did you get to become Purple Heart towns?
Many. I got 26 municipalities in Westchester County to become Purple Heart towns.
Right.
All 6 towns in Putnam County, Purple Heart towns.
Because of this guy right here. Okay.
And explain what is a Purple Heart town?
Thank you. Yes. What is that?
It's an acknowledgement that you're honoring Purple Heart recipients. Keep in mind, in order to get a Purple Heart, either you have to be killed in combat, and your family will get it, or like myself, many years later, some people get it right away, get your Purple Heart for being wounded in combat.
And what does a town have to do to become a Purple Heart town?
They have to issue a proclamation. They are a Purple Heart town. I approached them, and Westchester, sometimes it took a little while. And they'll respond, they'll ask me to come out, they'll come and see them, and they'll issue a proclamation that the town itself is a Purple Heart town. Now, some towns, they have signs up, okay, acknowledging that they are Purple Heart towns. Yorktown, where I live, I have 6 parking spots strictly for Purple Heart recipients. When you come off of the Taconic State Parkway on Route 6, there's a big sign there, Purple Heart Town. In the town itself, the square, there's a sign there, it's a Purple Heart Town.
Right. It's like in the, now Home Depot and Lowe's, they all got veteran signs up there and
Right.
Purple Heart signs up there. So it's come a long way. And thanks to guys like Gene.
Thank you, Gene.
Seeing the people that have been killed or wounded in action.
All right.
That's what you're doing.
So I guess we'll wrap it up, Nick. It's been quite a, it's a little long, but it was good. It's very good. It was a great show, Gene. Thank you.
Great show, Gene. Thank you.
Thank you, Gene.
Gene, it was an honor and a privilege to meet you and talk with you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service. I only wish I could be a quarter of a hero that you are.
Yeah, I served my time.
Good for you, Gene.
Would you do it over again, Gene?
I'm
Would you do it over again?
Would I do it again?
Yeah.
I say no. Destroyed
You
my
know,
hearing.
huh?
Destroyed my hearing.
Yeah.
I served my country proudly. I did not run to Canada. I did my time. And would I want to be in combat again and do what I had to do? Very hard for me to say no. Where I did what I had to do.
I think the type of person that you are, you wouldn't think about it. You would do it. You're just being modest to the people. I think every veteran out there, has the heart.
Right. I would. Yeah. All right.
Let's
I'll
put-
let it go.
Let's put it this way, because I know Gene, all right? If our country really needed us,
I'll be there.
we'd do it,
We do it.
okay?
We do it. I would not hesitate one bit.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Well, anyway, thank you, everybody. God bless you all, and I hope to see you next week. And I just want to, don't forget about the book, The Last Goodbye. All right, it's a really true story. Everybody's got one. Attaboy, Gene. Anyway, I appreciate if you look it up on Amazon or go to thelastgoodbye-book.com, and you could see the videos and all about the book. Thank you so much, everybody. It's great being here, talking to you, and especially with guys like Gene and my staff.
Have a day.
God bless. We'll have you back again, Gene. You got more stories to tell. You want to come back anytime.
Okay.
Okay. God bless everyone.
Thanks, Gene.
See you in 2 weeks.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
sigh and these tears that I cry.